Hi guys, it's Kylie. Today I'm going to be doing my January wrap-up, and I read a lot of books this month. I read 12 books this month, and that includes audiobooks and everything, so I don't have a stack of 12 books, but I will insert pictures of the ones that I listened to on audiobook, and I'm going to get started right away. The first one I read this month is The Nest by Cynthia Sweeney. I don't know how to say the name in the middle, but it was okay. I listened to it as an audiobook at the beginning of the month, and it kind of put me in mind of The Vacationers by Emma Straub, or like Modern Lovers by her. It is sort of that kind of writing style. I didn't feel like it had a real exciting plot, so it was kind of boring for me personally. I didn't really care for any of the characters. They were all kind of selfish and a little annoying, and they didn't really have a lot of growth throughout the book. So I think I gave it 3 stars, 3.5 stars or something in there. It was okay. It was not anything real exciting though, so if you like that kind of writing, like Emma Straub's writing, you would probably enjoy The Nest. And the next book that I read, I do have a copy of, and it's The Magician's Nephew by C.S. Lewis. It's the first book in the Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe series. I don't think it was written first, but I think it's the first if you're reading in chronological order. It's basically the making of the world of Narnia, so it was pretty good. I give it a 4 out of 5 stars. I'm not real fond of middle grade books, but as far as middle grade books go, it is a good one. The next book that I read was Stalking Jack the Ripper by Kerri Maniscalco. I was reading this at the end of December, and I just finished it up in January. I had about half of it left to finish in January. This one follows a girl named Audrey who does basically autopsies of dead bodies with her uncle in the 1800s, so it's not ladylike for her to be doing these sorts of procedures or to have interests like that, but it's following her. They start to get bodies from Jack the Ripper. It's basically a retelling, sort of fictional story about Jack the Ripper and who he might have been. But it is a good book. I think I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I think the last half was a lot better than the first half, so if you're reading it and you're maybe struggling to get through that first half, it does get better. I think that there's sort of a plot twist near the end that I was at least surprised by. I don't know. I wasn't really expecting it until right before it happened. So if you're interested in anything like that, you will probably enjoy that book. The next book that I read, I did as a buddy read with Stacy from Twitter. I will link her Twitter down below. And it was Wonder Woman Warbringer by Leigh Bardugo. I loved this book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I didn't really know the story of Wonder Woman, and I don't know if this is closely following the story of Wonder Woman or what it is traditionally, but it is about a girl who is named Diana, and she's an Amazonian. She's the weaker of the Amazonians, which is basically an island full of women, and she ends up going on some modern day adventures, and it's really, really a good book and exciting. And again, more plot twists that I wasn't expecting. The next book that I finished this month, I listened to an audiobook of, and it was The Illuminae Files, the first one, Illuminae, and I think I gave it 3 stars. I didn't love it. I've heard so many good things about it, and I was so excited. I thought that I would love the format because I just think it's so much fun to read different formatted books. So I had the ebook and the audiobook, but I mostly just listened to it. It has really cool sound effects and spaceship sounds and everything like that, and I believe it's a full cast of characters. So that was pretty interesting, but for me, I just didn't love it. The next book that I read was Vengeance Road by Erin Bowman, and this was a YA Western novel. It was full of guns and brothels and card games and basically everything you would expect out of a Western novel. I really enjoyed it, actually. I think I gave it 4 stars, 4.5 stars. I really, really enjoyed it. It was fast-paced and fun to read, and I liked the characters that it follows. I'm definitely going to be picking up Retribution Rails at some point. I don't know if it's going to be anytime soon. I'm kind of trying to not buy any books right now, But when I am buying books, I will definitely be picking that one up. The next book that I finished this month is Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. I think it's kind of scary because it almost seems realistic, even though it's supposed to be a science fiction novel. But basically, in the world, the people decide that they don't want books anymore. They want all of the books burned so that they can watch TV all the time. They have like walls of TV, and the TVs will incorporate their names into it, so they kind of think of them as their family. It's kind of creepy, but it is a very good book, and it follows Guy Montag, who is a firefighter, or a fireman. I don't know if they call it firefighter or fireman. And the firemen are the ones that go and burn the books, and they burn the houses that they find books in, and sometimes they burn the people inside the houses if they won't leave the house with their books. And so it is kind of scary in that way, but it is really, really good. The next book that I read this month was another audiobook that I got off Overdrive, and it was The 1000th Floor. I think I gave it 4 stars, 4 or 5 stars, let me see. I gave it 4 stars. I really, really enjoyed it. It reminded me a lot of Gossip Girl, if you've ever read any of the Gossip Girl books, or if you ever liked that show. It's set in New York, where there's this huge 1000-floor tower, and the really rich people live on the top of the tower, and the less rich people live toward the bottom of the tower, and most of the characters live near the top of the tower, but it's basically how they're all connected. And at the beginning of the book, you find out that somebody fell off of the tower, or was pushed off of the tower, or jumped off the tower, or something, and obviously died because they jumped off of the 1000th floor. And so you don't know who it is throughout the whole entire book until you get to the end, and then you find out who it was and what happened. But it is definitely worth reading, in my opinion, if you're into that sort of kind of high society, gossipy sort of books, which I am. The next book that I read this month was another buddy read with Stacy, and it was Into the Water by Paula Hawkins. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. I don't know if I liked The Girl on the Train or this one better. She is definitely a great author if you're into thrillers at all. If you haven't read any of her books yet, I would recommend either one of them, really. I really, really liked this one. She's also really good with plot twists and surprising me as a reader, which I really appreciate in thrillers. And the next one that I finished is Glitter by Aprilyn Pike. I think I gave this one 3.5 out of 5 stars. I did really enjoy it, and I will be picking up the sequel when it does come out at some point. I had a really hard time rating this one. I liked the story. It wasn't quite what I was expecting, but it was a good one. It was sort of gave me a hopeless feeling, like there's no way that the main character could ever come out ahead with everything that kept happening to her, which made me feel kind of sad, I guess, and anxious a little bit. But overall, I really, really did enjoy the book. It's about the main character who sees the king commit a murder, and then she is supposed to marry the king in order to keep quiet. That was the deal that her mother came up with the king, and the king is obviously a cruel man, being that he did kill somebody right in front of them, and so she makes a deal with a drug dealer that if she finds like 200 million euros or some ridiculous amount and pays them to him, that he will get her out of the castle and take her away. So she starts selling this drug called glitter in cosmetics, and not telling people that there's drugs in the cosmetics, but obviously they become addicted because of this super addictive drug that she is putting in there without them knowing. Obviously they figure out that there's something special about the makeup when it gets them high and they need it. And so yeah, it's a good book. I don't know how I feel about the main character. I feel bad for her, but at the same time, she's drugging people without their knowledge. Like everybody in the whole castle, they can't all be bad, so I don't know. I had mixed feelings about her and about the book in general. And the last book that I finished this month, I finished this morning, the morning of the 31st, and it was The Rose Society by Marie Lu. It's the second book in the Young Elite trilogy, I think it is, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed this book. I think I liked the last one a little bit better. I just liked the characters in the last book better. And they are the same characters in the next book, but if you've read the first one, you kind of know how it sort of switches a little bit. It's the main characters the same, but I preferred the first book to the second book. But I'm still definitely going to pick up the third book, and I have been loving the trilogy overall. So those are all of the books that I read this month. Let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them, and let me know what you read this month and how your reading month was. I did 12 books, which I think is really good. I definitely think that if I can keep that up, I will surpass my goal of 100 books this year. So wish me luck. I hope you guys liked this video. Thanks for watching. Bye.